70-06 in the ordinance. This applies to any organization or person engaged in the business of managing and maintaining vacant residential properties or dwelling units. And it is proposed that the fee be raised from $100 to $200. Now, does this mean residential complexes? Because obviously, you know, somebody's managing those, and when they get vacant, they go find another tenant. So are we saying that we're going to increase the fee from $100 to $200 for residential complexes?
This would be for a vacant property registry. I don't know if the village is still maintaining vacant property registry.
We should, again.
This is for.
That would apply to apartments too, then, you know, unless you're going to distinguish between a tax, detached, and commercial.
There's one on.
So, you know, it may need a little bit more clarification as to what the intent is.
And trustee, I would agree with that, a little bit more clarification, and what I would have this fee is to only apply to vacant residential properties, not vacant apartments, because that's a different animal, totally different subject. I would request for the attorney to do additional review and specify this is for vacant residential properties only, not apartment complexes.
Okay, but you know, because
And the management companies that manage those vacant properties, let it be the bank that has a third-party management company managing, or the bank itself managing the property.
okay, all right.
I have a question on that as well. There's one that's in deplorable condition. I got a complaint about it this weekend. Is that Circle Drive? Travis, was that? The Circle Drive is unbelievable. And it's monstrous, and they have a big concern about people getting in there very soon, doing all kind of God only knows. But that they want to know, they've been complaining, they say they don't know if it's the bank who owns it, but it's just horrible.
So a lot of the issues, so a lot of issues, I'm gonna be honest with you, a lot of issues that we have with the vacant properties, especially the ones that are uninhabitable, is number one, manage a proper process to mark those properties and go through the proper legal process to request those houses to be uninhabitable and require them to be tore down due to either safety hazard or blight, which has to be filed through the county for destruction. Secondly, when you file for destruction, you have to find the finances available to tear down the property. And the only resource we have now, which we've been working on well, and is the South Suburban Land Bank. They do have fundings available to tear down blight, do blight reduction in regards to various areas, but it's an entire legal process that we have to do per home for the county, for the court to approve that house or deem that house a hazard and get a destruction order for that home.
Well, I used to know the deputy of the Department of Corps of Engineers, and they do things like that. But I don't know what procedure you have to go through, but they will do a demolition as well, and it wouldn't cost us anything. So I don't know if you can look into it.
Understanding land, as you know, Mayor, we've been to several land bank meetings. They do have grant monies available. So we're in the process of participating in that blight reduction program, which the village has not been taking part in, for specific addresses to reduce blight. But it's just getting a list of the addresses and getting all the court actions done in court, both on doing abandoned property and blight reduction. So it forces the owner of the property to give that property up to the village.
Well, we have a safety committee now, so they'll be doing things like that.
That'd be awesome.
Okay, thank you. Any others?
Section 24, which is section 876-07 of the ordinance, where it applies to persons operating taxi cab businesses, is proposed that the fee be raised from $25 plus $15 for each cab operated to $50 plus $30 for each cab operated. I was wondering if this applies to Uber and to Lyft type companies, or are we talking about just a regular cab company?
This would be in reference to a regular livery cab company that would operate in the village.
Okay.
And a lot of these things, a lot of these categories are not widely used in the village, but when we looked at revamping the fee structure, instead of piecemealing or picking, individual fee structures. We wanted to revamp everything at once, just in case any of these things come about that we actually have to issue a license or do a fee on.
Okay. And part of the reason I'm asking that question is some controversy now about that Uber and Lyft are not licensing cab drivers. They're competing against the cab drivers who have to pay substantial fees in some cases, you know, and they're not subject to regulation. So, you know, there could be some issues there. That's the reason I raised that, you know. Okay.
I don't think they, even this taxi service is, I don't think,
Yeah.
you know, they're
That's all right.
robbing our people, actually. I can't wait for this bus service. That'll be the next issue. I have, you finished?
Yes, I do.
Okay, I have something on section 17, applies to the laundry establishments, laundromats, dry cleaning establishment, which we tried to get here one time. Unfortunately, we didn't go through, but I know that there are some applied systems. They do have these, they do have laundromats there, and they do have vending machines as well. So are we even dealing with that at all? Are we aware of that?
For the employee.
That's normally part of the license process. When the businesses submit their application, they also should list there's a phase
Well,
for
I have a number of us on.
the number of vending machines, the
Right.
number of laundry machines.
Right.
So we could check to see if all of the companies are.
Mayor, I think it's more of a compliance issue that we need to look into then.
Mhm.
Because this, we were, you know, getting them to, they would have to get their stickers.
Okay, they, I don't think they can get stickers. They're not been reporting them, that's why I said. Okay. Does anyone else have any?
I do.
Yes, trustee?
Like to be recognized. There's a section for vending machines, that's section 812,
Mhm.
and I don't think that's being changed. And they have fees for
Eight.
cigarettes, beverages, food, ice, and miscellaneous vending devices. It's currently set at $15 per machine.
Section 8, you said?
1812.
It's, in your proposed ordinance, it's section
Yeah,
5.
yeah, Section 5. They're going from $15 to $30 for each machine.
Correct.
I was just asking a question. But I also had something else I wanted to add, Madam Mayor.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, and my question or my addition would go to section 8
Okay.
in the memo in the ordinance, that's at 1804, and it's in relation to coin-operated amusement devices and video gaming devices.
Mhm.
We only have a fee or a licensing fee for the actual video gaming or the gambling machines, to use shorthand, but not for like the arcade game jukeboxes. So I think there'll be a separate fee for jukeboxes and arcade games.
You feel it should be separate?
Yeah, because we don't charge any fee right now, so we should license those as well.
Probably. Arcade game?
Arcade
Yeah, video
games.
games.
They're not being in the village, I don't even think people play them anymore, but jukeboxes would be.
Well, if I may, it's because when the gaming law went into existence, they stopped just where you put your money in and play, if it was gambling of any sort. So I think most of those have been replaced with video the gaming machines.
So the gaming machines have their own,
Yeah, we charge like 200 or 250.
But I'm thinking more like arcade games or jukeboxes.
right? Do we have jukeboxes?
We do have jukeboxes.
Okay.
Or at least one that I know of.
Okay.
Two.
I know we used to, for jukeboxes, there was a fee.
In this section, as applied, I don't know how it's being operated or conducted at this point, but this section would apply to, not to date myself, if you're playing Space Invaders and you're putting the quarters in.
What I'm saying is we don't charge a license fee for these coin-operated
Amusement, okay,
devices.
okay.
We don't charge.
Pac-Man,
for
right?
video games.
That's popular.
Yes, Space Invaders.
So that, it should apply to those as well.
Not 200, because it only applies to the video gaming terminal, not the other. Yeah, separate one for them.
Got it on my
Mayor,
phone.
Yes, sir.
just one comment on the
Yes, sir.
vending machine piece.
Uh-huh.
I don't really favor if a company has vending machines for their employees. I don't really feel that that's part of their business, they're paying a business license. And if it's just for the benefit of their employees, I don't think they should be paying a fee for each one of those machines. If it's a vending machine for the public,
Yeah.
then I believe, they should be charged a fee.
Unless,
Because it gets into, you regulate every little thing that a business does, and God knows we don't need no more Republicans around
okay. All right, did you get that, John? To change that? Not for, if it's established, part, it's for a perk, most likely a perk for the employees versus, something to the public. Because they are already receiving a revenue for that. Okay. There was another one I wanted to discuss. Okay. Food and beverages, okay, these, in section 12, same goes, that's going from 150 to 300 bakery outlets, delicacies, delicatessens, I'm sorry, food offer sales by those machine, okay. Hopefully one day our metro will go up, it's in there. Okay, I have no others. Anyone else? Okay, with these changes, do you think that you'll be prepared to put this on the next agenda, Attorney?
Look into it, we're gonna have to look into how some of these things are being applied currently.
So let's look at pending.
That's a
it.
pending.
First reading.
Yeah.
Or first reading?
Or first reading.
Okay. Pending first reading.
Mayor,
Yes, ma'am.
may I just suggest instead of just first reading, that we put it on for which we tried to develop all 3 readings, and the board can amend it down, but just in case we have all of the information and the board agrees to approve it, they can do it, but they can't if it's only on the first reading.
Okay. Is that okay with you?
Yeah.
Attorney? Board? Board, is that okay? Yeah, all right.
Okay.
Thank you, so we'll go for 3 readings. Okay, thank you, Clerk Jones. 5A4, discussion resolution of the Village University Park, Milford County, Illinois, authorizing and approving the acquisition of asphalt hot box from Monroe Truck Equipment Company. What's your thought on that? I mean, I know we've already been approved by our engineers for this.
No.
This is not with that, that's different, okay. All right, explain this one.
So now,
Oh, it's an act, I'm sorry, I see an accusation, I'm sorry. Acquisition of law.
So about a year ago, the board visited the opportunity of purchasing a hot box. This idea was passed by the board, but we had issues obtaining financing to obtain the hot box.
Explain that.
So what a hot box is a machine that's used to produce hot asphalt for road repair. So the difference between hot asphalt and cold patch is hot asphalt lasts a lot longer. What you see IDOT doing in other municipalities, you see the hot asphalt hit the ground and they're able to pack it, and it actually lasts for a season compared to it being kicked up when we use cold patch. Example of a cold patch is what we just did at Metro, which probably will not last more than 2 weeks because it will be kicked up by vehicles and not even last 2 days. Based on talking to Chief Chelios and his community, we saw it just pop right up out of the holes as we were looking at it. So this, number one, provides us a mechanism to patch large holes. The Public Works Department can cut out a section of roadway and use hot patch to patch that section of roadway to last a lot longer. As you all know, the village is not in a financial position to do full road reconstruction based on the 5-year plan that's been developed by Robinson Engineers, pending grant funding from the various grant sources that myself and the mayor are looking into to obtain funding. The residents, in my opinion, have a huge demand on the village to repair potholes and road structures within the village. This machine, in my opinion, is necessary for the existence of our roadway to last, and provides a safety mechanism to, number one, reduce vehicle damages in regards to pothole damages that are occurred, which liability is transferred onto the village, and the board votes on all the time to approve reimbursement for vehicle damage, and it creates a mechanism to at least try to move forward in repairing some of the roadways that can be repaired using this machine. I will be open to tell the board this machine will not fix all roadways. It will not resolve the pothole problem or the road repair problem in total, but it will assist us in dealing with major arteries and major streets that are being used for temporary repair until we're able to find the appropriate funding. Myself and Director Richardson, we received 3 bids for this machine that's attached to the ordinance. All 3 companies, 3 separate companies are attached to the document that you received today. Monroe Trucking was the lowest bid at $27,000. Now, initially, Monroe Trucking requested a net 30 payoff for $27,000 for this equipment. Through efforts of myself and Director Richardson, we've been able to negotiate with Monroe Trucking to spread the payments out in a 4-month time period. The first month, 50% of the cost, which is a little over $13,000. At the net 30 date, 25%, how is that breaking down? 25%, correct. 25% of the remaining amount, net 60 additional 25%, and net 90 additional. So they will actually give us 90 days to pay this off in order to be ready for use. Now, I want the board to understand that on delivery, we would have to pay $13,000. But the proposed delivery of this item is 4 to 6 weeks upon order. So even if the board was to pass this on the 27th, the item will not arrive until the end of April or the first or second week of May. At that point, we will have a revenue stream coming in through state tax disbursements as well as road and bridge funds to assist in paying this item off. And like I said, Monroe and Trucking extended credit to the village and given us an extended period of time to pay this off. I will tell you that the amount of the cost of $27,000 to do for this piece of equipment will offset the amount that we're paying in, number one, vehicle repairs that we're doing for residents as well as village vehicles. We have police department vehicles that are going through tires and suspension systems because they have to patrol on these horrible streets. I have replaced dozens of tires this year in the last 12 months alone. We've replaced dozens of tires between all the departments in the village, which is an incredible amount of money.
It must have went down that much.
And the various other streets in our industrial park streets are getting damaged heavily as well. And we actually have industrial park businesses threatening to leave because of the road conditions within Industrial Drive and various other industrial park properties. So I think this machine is vital. If we do not buy any piece of equipment, I think this is the piece of equipment that the board needs to invest in for the development of the roadway and a tool for the Public Works Department to use.
Okay, question. Buying this equipment, who's going to operate it?
So there will be trained personnel to operate the equipment. Road Trucking will bring out the equipment. They will train the personnel how to use the equipment and how to, well, they already know how to apply patch as it is. The issue is applying hot patch compared to cold.
Mayor, just a quick update. If you remember, we had it a few months ago when they were letting us sample it. So the hot box is just a hot oven. What we do by hand now, all it is a hot box. It's an oven. Just to let you know, we spend more time going to South Holland to pick the stuff up cold patch. Today we picked up 3 tons. By the time we got back here, we had maybe 2 1/4 tons. Because from the time we leave the treatment plant in South Holland, it is no good by the time we get back here.
Why is that?
Because we do not have a hot box to reliquefy the material. So with the hot box, we now can always have our material hot. So when we go to the plant in South Holland, we don't have to take it by truck. We take the hot box. It stays in the hot box for however long we need it. It's liquefied. So when it comes out of the truck, it's liquefied.
All right, again, how many people we have to train? Because I'm saying that because, not to hurt anyone or speak ill will of anyone, but when they come down, sometimes, I don't know, when they were shoveling snow, sometimes, we have professional people who live in this village, and they know how things are supposed to be done as well. When they put that shovel too long, too close to the ground, it's taking up the asphalt. They say, and I mean, they tell me this, they say, we look out the window, we shouldn't be shoveling that close, or whatever. I just want to make sure that they are trained people.
Yes, ma'am.
That not to misuse it, and it's very, very important that we get this. And I would like, again, I sent something to the chief about, our village manager, about a project. I want to start seeing projects, the dates, target dates, implementation, when it's going to get done, how it's going to get done, who's going to do it, what you need, how many MTEs, what equipment, so we can be structured on the time limits to our residents. So if we're going to use it first in big industrial park, or we're going to work and do our streets, or what's first, what's prioritize this work, some type of structure, my word again, structure.
Well, Mayor, just to let you know, we work on work orders.
Okay.
That's the way we are supposed to work. So every day the crews go out with work orders. So if anyone asks me, I can tell you when we went to these people's block for their lights, I know who did the job, I know what time they started the job. The hot box, everybody's trained. Everybody's trained to use a hot box. It pours out liquid. You take the roller, you smooth it out. So everyone knows how to use it. To answer your question about the plowing and bringing up the roads, the reason that is happening because we have potholes. So when the blade hits the pothole, yes, of course, those things are going to happen. There are some streets we don't even put the blade down because we're spending more in blades. One truck alone, the blade is close to $500. So the roads are not only tearing up our tires, they're killing our blades. This winter alone, we went through 32 blades.
Mayor?
Okay,
Yeah.
yes, trustee?
Yeah, I would like to just say, I highly support this. I think we approved it before we just couldn't find. It's one of the things that Gary mentioned, or didn't mention, but he mentioned it before, was it deals with the cost-benefit analysis related to this, because he was able to get asphalt, leftover asphalt, I think you told me from IDOT and have it put in the yard. Well, if you get stuff for free and you have a hot box, then you can liquefy it and be able to then to use it as hot batch, And so, and we have heard from a lot of our community members about the issues related to potholes, and we need to just do a better job. And the only way we can do a better job and be cost effective is to have this equipment.
Right. And it's worth the investment to the people, and, I'm sorry, trustee.
Not there. Can I be acknowledged? First and foremost, this has been going on for a number of years. And I know this was proposed last year, even before we were elected. And I really think that we should move this forward as quickly as possible, because I think I left my car in a hole by the metro station right now. Believe me, it's horrible. So we definitely need it on Elmhurst, because I don't know if that's
Abbott.
Oh, and Abbott, I mean, it's amazing. So maybe if we can, with the work orders, we can assign a combination of the two with the industrial park, especially our businesses over there complaining about the conditions of the roads. And if we can work hand in hand and work out some sort of amiable agreement with the businesses and the residents at the same time, we can service them both.
And so I would tell you, I've been in extensive conversation with Director Richardson in regards to prioritizing pothole repairs. The residents' concerns our utmost concern, okay? And that's our priority.
Yes.
And that's what I've stressed to Director Richardson. But we have to have an even balance when we're dealing with the priority of our residents and losing large tax-paying businesses that actually operate this village. And so we have to have an easy median when we're dealing with that. So Director Richardson, he received power complaints, I think 20 to 30 calls a day on average. We're listing those calls down, and our residential areas are first and foremost. And so I just want to establish that openly, that our residents and their roads are our first and foremost priority. Industrial park at the end of the day needs to get done. They're secondary. They're not far secondary, but they are secondary in regards to doing these repairs, because we do have to maintain that tax basis out there as well.
Trustee Oscar Brown?
Yes, I was going to say that before we set the priorities, we have to have the equipment to do the repairs so we can accomplish the village's main goal, and that's to have safe, passable roads. So my recommendation is to follow their recommendation. I have the equipment.
Yeah, another question about asphalt, is that going to, I mean, how we get, is that going to be a cost?
So asphalt purchase is actually can be used through MFT funds. So we can obtain asphalt through MFT funds. Unfortunately, MFT funds cannot be used to purchase equipment, and ironically, the state will allow you to rent equipment with MFT funds, but not do equipment purchases with MFT funds. So asphalt purchases and salt purchases and general road maintenance type materials can be done through MFT fund acquisition. And just as the board passed earlier, the estimated amount for MFT fund usage, that could be adjusted based on priority. So we may not do as many sidewalk repairs, we may put more money into asphalt. We don't know, but as the time goes on, we will have Robinson Engineering adjust those cost estimates based on what we're looking on. For example, as you see, Drawley Road was an emergency road repair. That was an unforeseen circumstance that cost the village about $41,000 that had been taken out of MFT. We had to adjust our funding for MFT funding for the fiscal year. So we're looking at these priorities, and we're going to start, we have been, and we're going to continue to look at asphalt usage and see if we need to adjust our priorities as far as MFT usage and budgeting. The key is to take the most stress off the general fund as possible.
Can you use with the area back in the industrial park, you use TIP funds to?
Yes, you can. Yes, we can do proper allocation of asphalt purchases within industrial park businesses that fall within that specific TIF area. And so as you all saw at the last board meeting, I scrutinize billing as it comes in and material usage in the industrial park, and use the TIF funds as they appropriately should be used to reimburse the village for funding and materials they're using in those areas.
Okay, I'm good for that to go on the next agenda. Everyone in agreement? Yeah. Okay. Trustee Jones, everyone? Okay, the last topic is 5A5, discussion resolution of the University Park, Willoughby County, Illinois, authorizing execution of a local public agency agreement by and between the Illinois Department of Transportation and the Village University Park for preliminary engineering services agreed by and between Robinson Engineers Ltd. and the Village University Park and Village University Parkway multi-use pad improvement. Okay?
I'll start with an introduction on this. This is for the proposed bike path, which is being used by grant funding. The village does have to provide a match. This agreement is for phase 2 and 3 engineering for that project. Phase 2 and 3 engineering is MFT reimbursable funding. MFT funding, and yes, it is reimbursable because this is a grant reimbursable project. So when we talk about MFT funding, certain funding is grant reimbursable, certain is not. So when I speak on these, I don't want to necessarily throw MFT funding out as everything being reimbursable. For this specific project, engineering is MFT reimbursable.
Yeah, no, and I remember this one because it's a part of the other phase.
Yes, ma'am. And what we're doing now is just doing the engineering agreement for phase 2 and 3 for the bike path from Governor State University all the way down University Parkway to Western. And I will tell you, I will be having a conversation with Madam Mayor on Friday, trying to draft up a letter to solicit Governor State to participate in providing funding for this project. Because if you look at this project is fully for Governor State University. And it benefits their students from leaving campus and coming into downtown,
Right.
downtown University Park.
Right,
Okay?
because we do not
Because
have
this is
to
what
pay.
it's gonna be in my vision,
Right,
okay?
well, the actual one is benefiting them as well.
Yes.
The right, right down, right outside, and the light is there, so it's helping.
So we will be interjecting in conversation, like I said, this conversation will be had with Madam Mayor on Friday in regards to drafting correspondence between the village and Robinson Engineering to GSU as far as their participation in providing funding as far as the village's match. This should have been done with the I-57 project. This should have been done with the last University Parkway project that IDOT provided 50% of our $800,000 match, and should be provided on further projects that's going to benefit Governor State University.
So, and on that, I want to add here, when I was at Southburg Mayor Managed Transportation, that I talked to them on that and noticed that we do have the $1,500,000, but it is allocated for on one of our projects, and we have another one I wasn't aware of, because what they've done now, they're stopping the fact that we cannot, it's only going to be they're going to do 4-year intervals now of grant writing. Normally we can do it every year, they stop it. So thank God that being, I mean, out of sight, out of mind, but I thank God I'm on that committee, because being there, yelled and screamed to make sure we worked the Park State on the docket, so we did.
And then just so the board is aware, we almost lost this grant because last year the grant was placed on hold. And IDOT threatened to take the money away from University Park and redistribute it. And it was my recommendation to move forward with the project. And the reason you see that the funding is slated for FY 2019 is it was our determination that we would not be able to get the project done. Go ahead, Mayor.
No, sort of, but it took what I was doing on the project.
Understood, Mayor.
They didn't, it wasn't so much as what you said, it's what I had to make sure, because it had been out there for 4 years. I had to stay on it to make sure that they were trying to take it away. I talked about it for these years, and at the time, one of the people, Barbara, was the one that's representing Robinson these years, has retired. And they thought they could take it and change it around, and it was under someone else, another engineer, so it was a lot of negotiating here on Tuesday. So that's how we kept it passionate. And I have to thank that committee. I have to give props to that committee for keeping it done. So.
Yeah, Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I have a question. This multi-use path, is this a new path, or are they talking about just kind of reconstructing the existing path?
It's a reconstruction of the existing path and extending the path all the way to Western Avenue.
Okay,
So it's widening the path based on Illinois Department of Transportation standards.
okay.
So right now it's too narrow, it needs to be widened out, and it's going to extend it down to Western Avenue as well.
Okay, but it's only going to go to Old Monee Road. It's not going to go all the way to Governor State. That's what,